Pitt versus Scott, your boys, Notre Dame in the ACC tournament. And let's check this out here. This foul that was called right at the end of regulation that had a massive change in the game and essentially allowed Notre Dame to win.
Is right. Pushes it up. Off the rim. Follows Davis, and we get overtime in Charlotte. Been called on Austin.
And the foul would be on the tip by Davis.
Then he goes on to nail the free throws. Notre Dame wins. Very unfair, but Scott is over there writhing in joy because Notre Dame was on the beneficiary side of this. What do you think?
Ooh, this one's hard to cheer for because talk about Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. I don't know what in the world the ref was looking at here. This is the kind of stuff that shouldn't be in basketball. These are the kind of fouls that should stop getting called in basketball. Especially at a moment like this, but throughout the entire game too. It's just ticky-tack stuff. You can't have this call made at this momentous moment at this time of the year, especially. So I'll take the win, but I'm not going to celebrate it beyond that.
Okay, good. You'll just accept it like this. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what, as an experienced basketball referee myself, with a lot of honor and high level games, 3rd to 4th grade champions,
and a lot of questionable calls, just like this.
Yeah, and with a lot of these type of calls, this is exactly what we want referees to avoid doing, is having an effect on the game like this, especially down in crunch time right here, and especially on something that's so ticky-tacky and it is so clearly not a foul or something that affected the game. So it's terrible right here to see this. And then also, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this because the player on Pitt who got called for the foul, Zach Austin, this dude is getting kind of bullied on the internet now here. And we're not going to show all of these because there's some like pretty brutal messages that he got on Instagram. But he just tweeted out, I know I wasn't the best today, but nobody deserves this, man. And so, I mean, I don't know here. Maybe I'll pull up. I'm not going to pull up some of these, Scott, because they're very profane. But these guys are saying horrible things to this kid right here after getting called for what was clearly a ridiculous foul. What are your guys' thoughts on this, and also on him posting this even?
Some people think that just because they're behind a keyboard or a screen that they can say whatever they want without any consequences. And I think the fact that we've removed the consequences of your words and actions in society is a huge detriment. Like, some of these guys should probably catch some hands for saying things like this, and probably would if they said it to him in his face. Also, people are idiots thinking that they have anonymity and are using like their personal profile to send messages like this. It's like, what are you doing? You're like a father. Like, why do you care so much about this?
You guys ever see like a wild comment on Instagram or something, and you click on the profile and it's a dad who's married with multiple little kids? I'm like, bro, yeah, what are you doing, man?
All the time. Or you're on Instagram Reels and you see some sort of risque picture and it's liked and it's some guy who has a family, and it's just funny.
Yeah. Hey, so
it's hard for that them to understand that people can see your likes and that they have.
That is a downfall for that generation.
Okay, my point on this foul thing. First thing, this is the trickle down effect of the LeBron attitude. Okay, the soft. I don't know. There's something there. Sorry.
No, it is.
It was a tough morning.
It's related. No, it's related, Mike. It is. It comes down. LeBron has set the culture, and now everything.
Yes. Okay. And the other thing about posting the mean things people are saying about you on your own account, I don't support that at all. I think it's pathetic.
Yeah.
What do you hope to get out of that? Look at all these mean things people said about me.
Yeah.
Be nicer, please. Here's the thing with cyberbullying. It's fine. Just close your eyes. Turn off the computer. Put your phone away. It's not real. It will affect you as much as you want to indulge it. If you just sit there and keep reading it, now you're damaging yourself. There's going to be bad things out there right now. You're a public figure right now. You're a college basketball player. Everybody, all the eyes are on you during this time. Bad things are going to be said, period. But the effect is based off of you indulging it and choosing to keep reading it.
This is like when I continued to check my stock portfolio on those really bad days, and I kept looking. And Scott, you kept saying, "Don't check it," and I said, "I can't not check it." It's sort of like, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
This post right here is also emblematic of like what I would say you were alluding to right there with the LeBron and like, oh, I want to get victimhood status and I'm going to gain some sort of clout based off of how mean these people are being to me.
Yes.
You know, was it deserved hate that he was getting? Absolutely not. But at the same time, anybody who has two eyeballs and watch the game or sees this highlight and it has some modicum of like fandom and knowledge of sports knows that that wasn't a foul, and that's not on him. It's on the referee.
Yeah, and this just also opens him up now for more of this because he has shown, like, obviously he didn't do anything wrong with the basketball play. Like, it wasn't like he had some egregious play that deserved to be called like this. But now he kind of leans into this, and now there are going to be people who just troll him. Look, I've had a YouTube channel for many years, and I've gotten so many messages like this. You just ignore them, they just go away. And I see Mikey smiling because probably 50% of them are from anonymous accounts. Mikey.
I made a lot of accounts.
Mikey has 800 Google accounts to comment on my videos. But if you just ignore this type of stuff, then it'll eventually go away. So I feel bad for the guy, but I'm not a fan of the posting because it just opens you up to be and feel way too vulnerable.
Well, does it go away or does it even exist? If you don't acknowledge it, does it even exist?
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Bullying, this is going to sound bad. It takes two to tango. So you have to accept the bullying, the cyberbullying, not in real life.
Yes.
Not in real life. But within cyberbullying, you have to technically accept it. Just don't.
Yes.
Okay?
Just
also,
what are you, a
you
dare
can block
officer?
people, you can not look at it. There's a lot of options here. I am a dare officer, Scott. Just
Dare
say
officer.
no.
Just say no.
Okay. All right. So, well, that's sad for him. Happy for Notre Dame, Scott. I know your family. You guys are having a pretty good year here, sports-wise. But let's jump into the Big Ten tournament. Actually, is starting today. So just take a look at this here, and let's see who we got, who we like in this tournament. There we go, Scott. You had a good job. Okay, nice, beautiful graphic. Who you got? Big Ten. Also, it just pains me so much to see UCLA and Oregon and USC in the Big Ten. It is so wrong to me. I cannot get over it, but I will accept it. Scott, who do you got in this?
You must accept it. This one's so different now that you're mentioning the Pac-12 guys are in this, but I gotta go with just the team that's been very consistent over the past few years. Maybe not so in the postseason and the NCAA tournament, but definitely Big Ten tournament, regular season, so on and so forth. I think Purdue's going to pull the upset here. And I know Michigan State had a huge back and forth like slugfest the other day at the end of the regular season, and there was some chirpiness and some energy between those two. But I don't think there's going to be a rematch this year. I think Purdue is primed to make a run here.
There's good Midwestern basketball right there. They also, their point guard just got named first team All-American, Braden Smith, the short 6-foot guy. Like, he's a baller. I like that pick. Sure. That's fine. I'm going to just go with the favorite, Michigan State. I mean, they're in a good spot right now. And I like Michigan State for this. We'll see. What, Scott?
You have faith in Izzo?
I do. I have faith. And also in Jonathan Smith from Oregon State.
He's a traitor. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's tough for you, Mikey, right there. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the schools that have already gotten locked in for the tournament. We got Selection Sunday on this Sunday, a couple days. And here's some of the schools that have already locked. Okay, Mike, some of your dream school here, SIUE. That's
that was my reach school.
That was
as my counselor said.
And then Omaha, obviously High Point. One of your areas, Lipscomb, Drake, Wofford, Troy, St. Francis of Pennsylvania, Robert Morris, UNC Wilmington, and the Zags out of the West Coast Conference. Scott.
Lipscomb, that's a hard team to be a fan of. How do you root for 'em? Let's go, Lipscomb.
It's a tough one. But these are all these type of teams right here. This is kind of what makes March Madness so special is these seemingly obscure random schools that are getting into the tournament because inevitably one of these guys are going to make a run. And that's actually like what we love about March Madness is these underdog schools making a run, going deep into the tournaments. And, there's a few examples of those, like Loyola Chicago a few years ago, the OG George Mason in 2006, getting to the Final Four. Just this is
Butler.
kind of a Butler. This is kind of an opportunity for these schools to get put on the map, and the effects of having a good tournament run that transcends basketball. That increases the people that apply to their school, brings them way more money. Yeah, it's huge.
It's massive. And like for schools that don't have football programs, and I would say even schools that have bad football programs, men's basketball has an incredible pull and impact depending on how they perform and if they make it to the tournament, as you're speaking to right here.
There's actually a chance for underdogs to go all the way and have a shot that college football doesn't really have.
Yeah, it's so much.
Was there any way to kind of take a piece of this and somehow integrate that kind of underdogs ability in college football?
Close is like the way that they expanded the college football playoff this year, just so that we had more teams, then we got to see a storyline like Arizona State, who overperformed compared to their expectations. But I think unless we expand the college football playoff to 64 teams,
60-game playoff,
I don't know if we're going to be able to get all of those underdogs. It's also harder in football.
Yeah,
I think it's harder. The better teams so often it's just really hard to have these type of upsets. Whereas in basketball, we talked about this on the show a couple times. You can just try harder and just have better effort on the basketball court. And your team, this no-name Lipscomb University, can beat a team like Duke on any given day. That's the beauty.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference in the sports for sure. Because I think you're speaking to it, Nick. Like football, there's a certain level of depth that say a top D1 single A program has than say a middling D1 single A program who may have made it into the tournament or something like that. And the chances are when push comes to shove, they're going to win 99 out of 100 times. And that 100th time is the other team winning on some, I don't know, the quarterback throwing 4 interceptions or having some wildly, outlier sort of game. But in basketball, it's exactly what you're talking about, Nick. It's like, there's an element of if you put insane effort, especially on the defensive side, and you're just annoying, the chances of you like interrupting the offensive flow of the other team is so much higher.
That's the difference of basketball. You can get those guys in this tournament. You're just so annoying. Biff, whatever you got. Those kind of guys.
Slap the court when they're playing defense.
But the thing is, it works in basketball. The annoying, corny defense actually works because it's so annoying.
Annoying beats talent in the NCAA
in basketball.
There is something too, like going to different environments, playing on different rims. Sometimes shots just don't fall, even for the better team, even though they have the better athlete and all that kind of stuff. And then you add the annoying Lipscomb defense, and you got something brewing there.
Yes, you do. And then also you go to some of those stadiums where they have the open roof concept that Mikey has thought of. So there's a lot of variables that come into play for basketball. So, I mean, but this is what makes it exciting here is some of these tiny, smaller schools. However, we do have to talk about the Blue Bloods also, put some respect on some of these boys in North Carolina. Okay. The SEC is having themselves a nice moment with basketball as we look at like the top 25, a huge proportion of these teams are SEC schools. But this Duke North Carolina game the other night, 3.4 million viewers, the best game of the season on ESPN and the 4th best game in the last 5 years, college basketball wise. And UNC is not even ranked. Like Duke obviously is having a great season, but that just kind of goes to show the depth of this traditional rivalry, and that even when one of these teams is down, it still resonates with sports fans.
Yeah, there's something here too. I think a lot of people are talking about the SEC having a resurgence and everything like that, because it's almost like a new phenomena to see the SEC at the top of college basketball and have
Yeah.
multiple teams performing to the level that they are. I think what was interesting about this ACC one is this is like the first time, I would say, in quite some time that there was a consequential outcome, and this was a consequential game for one of the teams between the two, because generally when these two are facing off, they're already shoe-in fits for the tournament, and it's kind of like, yeah, there's a rivalry, but depending, like, it doesn't really matter how it shakes out in the wins and loss column there. Like, they're both making it, they're going to be fine. They may shift a seed or two here, but ultimately they're going to make it. This one here, I think the reason why it was so popular and it got so many views was strictly because North Carolina is on the hot seat. They're one of the first 4 teams that are out in the tournament here. I think there was an element of like fans actually wanting to come and see this because they were expecting a high effort game coming out of at least one, and then you have Duke facing a rival who doesn't want that team to win and get in, because that's just not a good look as you're facing off against your rivals. So there is something else to this game that hasn't been present for some time.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that, when the stakes are elevated, that's what we've talked about on all sports and all sorts of different types of games. When the stakes can be elevated, whatever that reason may be, then it brings in that emotional aspect that so resonates with fans. Now on Duke, obviously Cooper Flagg has been phenomenal this year. This is a little bit weird for me though. How can you give him the Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year? Like, if you're gonna give him Player of the Year, give Rookie of the Year to some other rookie. I know he technically deserves both of them, but I just feel like the Player of the Year should override the Rookie of the Year, and he should be disqualified from that. What do you think?
So give more people trophies. You're saying.
I think anybody
everyone gets the ribbon.
Everyone who tried. I see what you're saying.
The wealth. Yes.
Okay. Redistribution of trophies.
I get what you're saying, because there's also a part of me that's a little frustrated with the difference when we're talking about NFL, the difference between an MVP award and Offensive Player of the Year award. I understand that the MVP award traditionally is supposed to span across defense, special teams, and offense, but let's be real, it's an offensive award. The Offensive Player of the Year award is essentially the silver medal in the NFL, and I get the sense, like, I think Rookie of the Year is different, even though this could fall in that same category or same combative relationship between the two trophies. But I think Rookie of the Year is slightly different than Player of the Year.
Okay, fine. I see what you're saying there. Maybe it's just the graphic is what's bothering me, that they just use two very similar, at least use a different jersey that he's wearing.
A black one or a blue one.
A black one, or like it's basically trying to make it seem like he's, I don't know. It's just not.
I'd rather also
like
use an action shot.
Yeah.
Like,
2 non-action shots of him just standing and pointing. Like, that's not how he won those awards. Okay, he won those dropping huge stat lines every single night.
This is funny? A YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly. He's from Maine. That's such a random spot for the best basketball player in the country to be from.
It makes sense though, because it's so cold. So all you can do is be inside playing basketball. There.
That's true. That is true. All right, so that's what we got in college basketball right now. Selection Sunday. We're gonna know Sunday night your guys' time, and then come Monday we're gonna be talking March Madness. Getting very exciting. All right, we do have some madness in the NFL also still going on with the free agency. We talked about some of the biggest signings on Monday, but do have a question for you guys. What are your guys' thoughts on some of these moves of these aging players with like a reasonably high price tag landing in some of these spots? And I'm thinking right here is one of them, with DeAndre Hopkins landing in Baltimore with the Ravens. Let's see. There we go. We got it. Okay. So DeAndre Hopkins, after being with the Chiefs on that 1-year deal, he has now landed with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. What are your thoughts on this, on these? And it's like, I saw a tweet also of Baltimore is where aging wide receivers go to die, because we've seen this recently with some other guys like Odell Beckham as well. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, that tweet has serious truth behind it. It's like it's the Ravens. If you go to the Ravens as a wide receiver or the Tennessee Titans, you're essentially washed up, or at least that's the perception of you. I think it's worth the price tag to get a savvy vet who has a name, who's been there before, and who's been at the top for years, to come into the locker room to help teach and mentor some guys. As Mikey said last episode, that's an expensive mentorship program, but at the same time, it's the only way that you're going to get these guys up to speed as quickly as you need them to. And even if it's just for a year, 2 tops, like you need that sort of stability and professionalism coming into the league, especially with the guys that are entering into the league right now. There may be a lack of professionalism across the board there. So I think this is a good thing.
Very childish. No, I like what you said there. I think for me, it depends on which team is doing it. And so I'm good with a squad like the Baltimore Ravens doing it. I like it when the Chiefs do this. Kind of reminds me of like back during the Patriots dynasty when they would do it and they'd pick up an old savvy vet. It can be embarrassing to me for some organizations who seem to do that, and it almost feels like they get duped. And this is not the great example of it, but it is almost like, okay, whatever team signs Aaron Rodgers now at age 40, like you're kind of getting a little bit duped here by the gotcha. All right, so I'm with you on that. Then we've got another one right here with Joey Bosa going to the Bills on a 1-year, $12.6 million Bosa. The Bosas, they've got Nick Bosa, they've got Joey Bosa. They have copied the Alfieris with the naming right here, although they are making a little bit more money than us.
I was this close.
Mikey Bosa.
What, Scott, you said you hated that helmet.
I can't stand that shark helmet.
I agree.
It's like baby beluga.
It's so ugly. It looks like you have had horrible brain surgery gone wrong in your cranium. I don't think it makes them look cool.
It's a futuristic, cool-looking helmet. It looks like a Halo helmet. You guys don't like that?
No, I don't like the slits up top. It's too tall up here.
That's just the way that it sits on his head.
It's too Cro-Magnon.
We should have a segment where we analyze all the different helmet types. Which positions should wear what in face mask breakdowns. I think people want to see that.
Mikey's helmet style.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. People didn't like the helmets that I would wear. They felt good on my head. Scott, what do you think about this move, Joey Bosa going there after being with the Chargers for so long?
I think this makes a whole lot of sense for the Bills. Look, they just shipped off Von Miller, who, for all intents and purposes, was farther along in his career, age, so on and so forth, his productivity, even though he had big plays there at the end of the year. It ultimately didn't help them get over the hump. I think Joey Bosa, similar to what I said about Aaron Rodgers, still has plenty left in the tank. I'm surprised, though, that there wasn't any sort of machination done by the 49ers to get the Bash Bros, the Bosa Bros together on the Niners and shore that up on the side on their defensive side, because they've been shipping dudes out left and right. And for all intents and purposes, this isn't like the most expensive deal. And they could have acquired a high performer on the defensive end should he stay healthy and remain healthy.
True. Speaking of the 49ers, clearing house right here. Check this out. This is notable players who have left San Francisco this offseason. And these are big names. Some of these guys that work like core to the 49ers for this team of the last 5-6 years, where they've been going to the Super Bowl, winning NFC championship games. Like, this has been one of the best organizations in the NFL, and these guys have been a massive part of that. So it's pretty crazy to see some of these. A name like Kyle Juszczyk, who I think was an 8-time Pro Bowler, and a captain of that squad. And you're seeing just some of these big names get out of there. What do you think about this, what the 49ers are doing? Do you interpret this as, okay, our Super Bowl window with that team is ended and we need to just rebuild from scratch? Or do you think that they're still in it?
I think they're still in it strictly because of the front office organization. There's an element of trust that you have to gift the front office. And even though this is like striking moves, dude, especially those three right there. You got Greenlaw, Ward, and Hufanga, who's like a young safety. I'm surprised to see someone like a John Lynch move off of a talent like Hufanga, because him being a safety, a former safety and Hall of Famer, like there's something to Hufanga's play that is reminiscent of one, Troy Polamalu, and two, John Lynch. So he's just been an absolute asset for them. To see them move off of him is tough. You either trust the front office or you don't at this point. I'm going to fall to the former and trust them that they know what the heck they're doing. But it is tough to see somebody like a Juszczyk who has become synonymous with the culture and the organization, because I think he's been there for 8 straight years, multiple Pro Bowls, while I don't know how much that matters these days because Pro Bowls.
Stop trying to jab at him because he went to Harvard.
Yeah. Damn it, you saw through me.
I don't even know if Pro Bowls matter. Like,
Yeah.
you think it's good?
The only thing it does matter is the old Harvard. Granted, he beat us every single time, so he was a freak of nature out there on the field. Anyway,
They just cut him. They didn't trade Juszczyk for anybody. They couldn't get anything for him.
No, it was just the way that the
snip
salary, the salary cap, and everything.
Oh wow! Where do you think he would go? Where would he fit?
Ooh. I was.
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Saints. He'd be the next Taysom Hill type of. I don't know.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because my wife actually asked me that question. Where's he going to go? She's plugged in. So I was talking to her about it. I was like,
on the show.
I was talking to her about it, and I was thinking through it, and I think two places that would make sense, just strictly because the guys who are at the head coaching positions, is, to your point, the Saints, but it's more the Broncos, because Sean Payton is there now, and he knows how to utilize guys that are versatile on the field. Offensive guru there. He can find a spot for him. And I think they have some room to make some deals there. And then the other one would be the Rams with McVay, because, I mean, Shanahan cut from the same cloth as McVay. I think that would be a natural, easy fit.
Dude, we got to watch out for the Rams. Like, I mean, they're fantastic last season, almost beating the Eagles, and like, they're gonna be making some moves here. Sticking with the Niners, though, we got to hit on our boy Brock Purdy. So Nick Wright, who's like a pretty big time sports commentator, he said this: if he was running the Niners, I would offer Brock Purdy such a team friendly, almost insulting deal that I didn't expect him to take, because I really want to see him this year without a super team around him. If he looks like he did last year without a super team around him, and if that's the case, then that's simply a player you cannot pay $55+ million to. So this has obviously been a huge conversation of what is Brock Purdy going to get? Where does he land, or where should he land contract wise? Is he in that same stratosphere? Some of these players, that got those $55 million a year contracts, like the Tuas and the Daks and the Trevor Lawrences, And when we name off some of those names, especially looking at their performances last year, you're like, well, yeah, I mean, Brock has done quite a bit more, had quite a bit more success than some of those guys. But where do you stand on this?
I think similar to the bottom portion of this tweet, I think it's crazy how much hate Brock Purdy gets for just keeping his head down and producing. This makes no sense. You're going to structure your team in order to test your quarterback as opposed to win. Like, why would you set up your roster that way? It's just like, oh yeah, let's see if he's got what it takes, as opposed to like, hey, let's build the best team possible so that we could potentially win. What? Yeah. That doesn't even, that logic makes no sense.
They're so mean to Brock. Just pay him. Pay the poor guy. They run him through all these tests in the ringer, and he just deserves to be paid.
Yeah, it's the discourse around Brock Purdy is so polarizing. People, no one can really agree. People are either like, oh, he is not nearly as good as his statistics has shown those previous 2 years. He just had the super team around him. And then other people are saying, oh, no, he's actually done quite a bit, even when some of his best players are out. And I don't know. I think when you have a player that has performed at this level for multiple years, granted, this year was a little bit of a down year, but it was a down year in general for the 49ers. Yeah. Cannot ignore that. You can't keep asking him, okay, give us another year to prove it. Like, again, okay, they're just doing it over and over again.
So they're treating him like a walk-on.
They are.
That's the one he's getting. It's insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. And they're the ones who selected him. It's not like
I do think the fact that he got selected last in the draft is tainting the way that some people look at him. If he was a first round pick, then I don't even think this would be a
He would have
conversation.
been paid already. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
because of where he was selected in the draft, people refuse to accept what he has done, and they continually chalk it up to being a fluke. So
Do you think it
Look-
would have been even better if he was actually undrafted? So then it's a more of a Cinderella story.
maybe, because I mean,
Maybe.
maybe there is something that being called Mr. Irrelevant does for
Yeah.
certain people that they just can't get over it, as opposed to an undrafted free agent. Speaking of quarterbacks trying to get a contract, this boy, we were talking about him a lot this season, and this broke like right after we finished recording on Monday. Sam Darnold, 3-year contract, nearly $100 million with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, good for Sam. We've been talking about this. This is right about at the size of the contract that we thought that would be appropriate for what he's done, kind of that Baker Mayfield level of contract, and he has earned it. Granted, those last 2 games of the season last year probably lost him about $80 million just from those 2 games alone, but still a good outcome for him. How do you like this fit with him with the Seahawks?
The fit, I'm still trying to digest it. But in terms of him getting this bag, like, congrats to him. Hats off.
Sam Darnold, he's only getting $50 million guaranteed. Doesn't that seem low guaranteed?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like
Percentage?
usually it's about half guaranteed, or that's kind of the par for the course, isn't it? For some of these $100 million contracts, maybe 60 guaranteed.
Yeah, it's ticking. The percentage is ticking up for sure in the guaranteed money in the NFL. Shout out to Deshaun Watson.
Congrats.
But yeah, this does seem a little low, but it makes sense. It's 9 digits, or the potential of 9 digits. Like I said, he had one really good year, so he earned it in that respect. But like,
here is what I would say from the Seahawks point of view. So I think we're all on the same page. Good for Sam. But from the Seahawks point of view, why would you move off Geno Smith for Sam Darnold when Geno has proven multiple years in a row to play at a pretty competent level? Not an elite level, but sort of in the same ballpark as Sam Darnold. And he did that multiple years in a row, and they were unable to come to an agreement. Like, they tried to get an agreement in there, and they couldn't do it, and they moved off him for Sam Darnold. So for me, that doesn't make so much sense from the Seahawks point of view.
It's because coaches just like who's new, who's next. They like novelty. They like the hope of a new guy coming in. It gives them life. They get bored. Even if he's like Gino, they're just bored. Who else can we get? Who's going to give us a bump? Hopefully, maybe.
It's like those people that are always
just like novelty of it.
Yeah, trying to get into a new relationship. They just like the novelty, and I know what you mean. All right, one more team that has got their quarterback. This one, see what you guys feel. Justin Fields. This one surprised me quite a bit. This dude got a 2-year, $40 million deal with the New York Jets, $30 million guaranteed. This guy was not even a starter for the full year last year. What did he start? 6 games? And to get this deal, I thought his agent pulled a hell of a maneuver to get him this. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Godspeed to Justin Fields and going into that organization. I mean, with Aaron Glenn at the helm, hopefully it's shored up better than it has been over the past few years. But this one was a little surprising too, because all the rumors I had been hearing was that the Steelers were definitely warming up to Fields being the guy, especially with how the last year ended and how Russell performed or didn't perform toward the end of the season. So, good for him for getting a fresh start. I just wonder, he's a great competitor, and I hope he takes a page out of Baker Mayfield's book. Yeah. Because Baker had just been cycled through. I think there was something up there where people were talking about how Garrett Wilson has had, 10 different quarterbacks in his career. Well, looking at like someone like a Baker and even a Justin Fields, looking at how many OCs and coaches and all that kind of stuff that they've had to deal with, different offenses that they've had to implement, digest, and go out there and perform with, to a certain degree. Like, they've had a lot of adversity themselves. So I'd like to see some consistency here with the Jets, which is asking quite a bit. And I actually don't think this is the craziest move in the world.
No, it's not the craziest move in the world because he did really prove himself last year in the first half of the year. I mean, half of the country was saying, "Hey, leave him in, let him roll out the rest of the season with the Steelers." And so he did prove himself to the point where he earned a contract down there. And I think he could fit with Aaron Glenn culturally, just kind of that tough guy. I know Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy, and Justin Fields has played in kind of two defensive cultures already with Chicago and with Pittsburgh, and he's got that tough running ability. So it could be an interesting matchup interesting team up in New York there, and see if the Jets can make something happen. All right, one more quarterback situation here.
Brock needs Justin Fields' agent.
He does. Brock really does, because
Mulugeta is a savant with deals. I think he's got some of the top paid guys. I even want to say Deshaun Watson. I got to double check that, but he's gotten guys paid.
Yeah, get him
That's
on.
Cool.
Get a guy like Brock that. So here, this QB battle, QB competition that we're going to have in Indy with the Colts. Daniel Jones signed the 1-year, $14 million deal to go there after coming off the third string position with the Vikings and coached up by Kevin O'Connell a little bit. And then Anthony Richardson, who famously tapped out of the game on third down because he was too tired. So we've got these two quarterbacks battling for the starting job in Indy, the two lowest passer ratings in the NFL over the past 2 seasons. What do we think is going to win this quarterback battle?
Who cares?
He's shown flashes at times. Like there was that season that he played to earn the big contract that he ended up getting. He got that for at least a reason in some people's eyes. So maybe he's got something there. Maybe he can at least be a little bit of a mentor for Anthony Richardson, because I think Anthony Richardson's one of the youngest quarterbacks in the NFL. It seems quite immature. He's got a lot of physical gifts, but he's got to get the mental aspect down. Not to say that Daniel Jones necessarily has that, but he has that more probably than Anthony Richardson.
He's got something. I guess. He does have those lifeless eyes that just make you think, I don't know what's going on. He doesn't seem like a real leader.
But maybe here's the possibility is that spending the back half of the season in Minnesota last year under Kevin O'Connell, that maybe he got some good coaching there. Maybe that might be the little revitalization that he needed for his career, kind of in the same way that it happened for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, maybe. But I also think that they're bringing him over for Anthony Richardson to be more of like a life coach, because he went through the rigors of the New York media for so long and had to deal with that brutal aspect of things. True. Anthony Richardson's going through a very similar situation after the tap out, and how just rumors coming out of the locker room and the organization is that it's not a very dedicated dedicated to success sort of organization at this point in time. So maybe Dan Jones is going to be a little bit of a life coach whisperer, being like, hey, you can make it through this. You can get there. You can find another team at some point, but you're not going to perform here.
Dan Jones. You guys you call him Dan?
First name basis.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right, here we go. Chicago Bears, obviously having Caleb Williams last year and showed some flashes of great stuff, also some flashes of very bad stuff. But a big part of the story with Caleb Williams last year was the Chicago Bears offensive line, which was one of the worst in the NFL. This dude was running for his life all over the place. The Bears have made some moves and added to their offensive line. So they actually said they had like five big signings, 3 of them offensive linemen, 2 of them defensive linemen. So really adding in the trenches. They traded for Joe Thuney, traded for Jonah Jackson, and signed Drew Dahlman. So that's 3 new starting offensive linemen right there. And Joe Thuney, obviously 4-time Super Bowl winner, one of the best in the NFL, going to be leading that offensive line. And so this is very likely a game changer for the Chicago Bears, because obviously there's a lot of talk last year. Oh, Caleb is so talented, and the wide receivers they have, Roma Dunze, and everything that they got weapons wise. It's like, does not matter at all if you don't have the ability to protect the quarterback. Now it seems like they do. Ben Johnson is doing some stuff there in Chicago. What do you think?
Yeah, on paper, this is incredible. Ben
On paper.
Johnson making moves, like making sure that Caleb is as protected as he possibly can. So now it all falls on Caleb. Like there are no more excuses. He's got everybody he needs. He's got all the firepower on the offense. He's got the mind of Johnson. He's got the offensive line that you just talked to right there. So like everything's going to fall on Caleb this season, and seeing how he progresses throughout the year is going to be interesting. We got to give a shout out to our intern making a premature tweet saying that he wouldn't wish that O-line upon anybody.
Shout out to the intern.
Thanks, intern.
Yeah, who could that have been?
I wonder who our intern is.
No. So like these moves were exactly what needed to happen in order for the Bears to even have a chance. Like that's what it comes down to. It's like, yeah, you won the offseason and won the Lombardi of the offseason. Cool. Now go out and perform, see if this actually has some sort of effect and positive effect at that.
They should give a trophy for which team does the best in the offseason. That'd be cool. Sort of a GM.
You're all about trophies today, huh? Trophy proliferation.
Yeah, but it'll be based off of projected success.
Yeah,
it's like giving an Oscar to a movie that hasn't started filming yet. They just put together this cast.
Hey, yeah. So sometimes maybe the producer deserves a little pat on the back right there. I don't know. Maybe I just want more compliments in my life. Can you guys give me some trophies, please? So I can feel good about myself. All right, let's move to NBA. Now, we touched on this last week. Obviously, a huge story with LeBron and Stephen A. Obviously, him confronting him courtside at the Lakers game. Stephen A. having all of the things he likes to say in his shows and his podcasts. But I'm going to check this out here. This is a long clip, but we'll play just a little bit of it.
Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. Wasn't about your son. I know he's number 55. I know he got work to do. Woo. I believe that he got potential. Yeah. I believe that he got the potential to go pro. I truly believe that. It's going to be tough, but I think he can pull it off. And by the way, I'm rooting for him. I ain't rooting against nobody. But I was talking about your ass. You did this. Mm-hmm. You the one that had us as reporters, as a league, as an NBA franchise. All of us got to sit back and be quiet and capitulate to your shit.
Come on now.
You did
Come
that.
on now. Was he going to say, I think Stephen A. Smith might be the greatest living orator right now. He can make just something like that. He can make everything sound so interesting and emotional. I really like it.
Don't sell yourself short, Nick.
Oh, Scott, I can't talk like Stephen A. Maybe I can.
Well, maybe you can embrace the new uniform and start wearing the turtleneck with the gold chain.
Well, I could probably afford a turtleneck. I don't know if I could buy myself a gold chain just yet. A little bit more work to do, but I could probably pull it off. You'll see me wearing a gold chain. So one of these days. What do you guys think? So to me, this is kind of spot on. That Stephen A. really, of course, like Bronny ended up being kind of the collateral damage of this whole conversation. But really, Stephen A.'s criticism of this whole thing was to LeBron for all of the strings that he pulled and kind of the way that he stood and said, hey, everybody, hey, watch Bronny. Look, we're having this moment of me and Bronny, and it's very special. And I think that's what he's criticizing LeBron for. And it's a criticism of LeBron, not necessarily a criticism of Bronny. What do you think?
I think this emotive response from Stephen A. was appropriate, because if LeBron's going to go out there after standing on business and acting as a parent, as a father in front of everyone, knowing that everyone is going to be watching this interaction, there's something else under the surface. And I'm glad Stephen A. is saying, like, yo, you're the one who did all of this. You're the one who engineered everything about this Bronny situation. So don't act like we don't have the opportunity to attack it from a business perspective as well as a performance perspective. Because, like, dude, this decision is on you. If you were a GM, you would be eviscerated like this as well, regardless of it being your son or not. It's just a bad decision. So I'm glad Stephen A. came back with this second punch, because I think he tried to take the high road at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when this leaked audio came out showing that LeBron was like kind of joking about it, saying that essentially he got the better of Stephen A. I'm glad Stephen A has some fight in him and is at least sticking to his word.
Yeah. Also, LeBron, that's like a war that I don't think LeBron can win. Like Stephen A is such a great communicator. Like he's going to be able to win the masses in this whole thing. Like he's kind of won us. Like we're kind of on his side on this, and I think he's going to continue to be able to pull people in that direction.
Yeah, it's one argument. Stephen A is arguing based off of logic, as I was pointing to right there. LeBron is trying to appease and appeal to people's emotion because he's a father and Bronny is his son. It's like, look, you put your son in a very precarious situation, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, in the moment, it may have been to help him, but ultimately it might actually hurt him. And
dude,
for you not to have that moment of foresight and thinking about your son in the future as opposed to the moment might end up biting him in the end.
The more I think about it, the more it does to me is not him helping Bronny. It's him. It was completely selfish. It was him just wanting this moment for himself. I mean, okay, maybe yes, it did help Bronny by getting him on an NBA court, but in the long run, that hurts him because he had to be in this situation now.
I completely agree. He was just thinking of how cool it'll be that I'm playing with my son. It didn't occur to him the progress or how it would derail his son's development at all.
Yeah, it's projection too, because it's like, oh, this is great for my son. My son, deserves this, so on and so forth. But ultimately, what's underneath that projection is probably the selfish current. And like I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head there. And I think that's what Stephen A is speaking to, especially when that leaked video and audio came out. Again, I'm glad Stephen A is just standing his ground here and finally just letting the veil of professionalism fall a little bit and speaking to him as a guy and as a man.
Can we bring back this LeBron? Okay, hold on. Look at this. Also, this NBA.
Look
at that.
This is the inflection point. I feel like 2011, 2012, and then 2013, something shifted.
Also, look at the emotion in the NBA arena. It has the feeling of a March Madness college game in there. Like that's so rare for the NBA nowadays.
Yeah, even more rare with Miami fans and just how fickle they seem to be.
Yeah, that's true. What do you? So you think this is kind of the end of that era of the NBA? This is the start of the downturn.
Yeah, I think this is where things started to go awry, and we've touched on it directly, indirectly, and I think a lot of it hinges on LeBron and how he decided to move forward into the future from this moment on. Again, I'll point to like 2013, 2014 being more of the inflection point, but this is like where everything about LeBron peaked, I think. And had he taken this and harnessed it and brought it into the future, I think we'd be in a vastly different situation, fan-wise, engagement, energy, everything in and around the NBA in today's day and age.
Yeah. You know what else I kind of miss about the olden days of the NBA? The old
Fights?
logo.
Oh.
The old logo. Look at this. And I have a thing of all of the other logos here I want to throw up in a second. But what we just have here, this turn to minimalism. Like we've seen it everywhere in society. We're seeing it in design. We're seeing it in architecture. We're seeing it in logos and in sports teams. It's like, can we have a little bit of character remain in our physical world, please? And I'm going to pull up these other logos here in a second. But what do you feel on this?
Yeah, man, the symmetry here is just kind of jarring, and you can't take there's such character in that one logo. There, like, it still harkens back to the fact that this is a kids game. Kids can connect with a brand logo like that, as opposed to like the harsh, symmetrical version of the one on the right there. It just minimalism. This guy's right. Minimalism takes everything beautiful from something and just takes a dump on it.
Yeah. Also, the one on the right is scary. If you're a little kid trying to pick a basketball team to be the fan of, that's tough. All right, check these out. This made me nostalgic as hell.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Cool. Does that does something in your brain when you see that? Like, look at these.
Great.
A lot of these have character, and they're like there's actual story in the logo, and they're not just pulling away. Like, gosh, the Pistons. Look at that, Scott. The only one I don't know about is the Cavs.
No, dude, that's the OG. That's beautiful. We need to go back to that. The current one for the Cavs. I can't get on board with the maroon or what do they call it, wine and gold or whatever it is. I can't do it anymore. We need to go back to orange, black, and baby blue.
Hold on, I gotta look at the. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The Cavs one now is not great. Look at that. Chicago Bulls is still the same. What else jumps out? Ooh, San Antonio Spurs. See, we don't have any respect for vibrant colors anymore. Okay, everything is getting desaturated in the world.
Hijacked.
Yeah, don't like it at all. I mean, these are just beautiful. What's your favorite one?
Ooh, favorite one. Favorite one. Low hanging fruit is the Raptors, but I have an affinity for the Jazz. I think that one was incredible and so unique back in the day because they had that frosty blue skyline on their deep purple and white jerseys. Like I thought there was something cool about that one. The Grizzlies is always a really, really awesome one as well. The one I really dislike comparatively is the Wizards. I mean, I don't think today's logo of the Wizards is all that great, but I also think the Wizards in general was a downgrade from the Bullets. So
yeah, true.
Looks like clip art.
It does look like clip art.
These old ones just remind you of playing NBA Live on Xbox.
Yes,
when you're little. It's great.
Exactly. Also, like getting basketball cards when we were little, and seeing these logos on the cards there. Seattle Supersonics. That one, I remember when I was little, I loved that one because I was obsessed with the Space Needle. I thought it was so cool. They had the Space Needle in their logo.
Oh, let's don't have the Space Needle. That's so cool. That's you.
I appreciate interesting architecture. Apparently, unlike you guys, who like it functions for itself. Okay, there's a restaurant up top. It was made for the World's Fair, Mike. Okay, it is now an icon of the Northwest. It's one of the most famous buildings in the world, and I am not a nerd for liking it or appreciating that logo. Okay,
they should turn it into a modern day Tesla tower and give free energy to everybody. They can.
That's a good idea, and that would be a good.
Energy in his van was not there this morning.
Right. You're just saying
no sun. There's no sun for the next 4 days, so my power in my van is down. It's crazy how much power you get from 100-watt solar panel.
Can you get like some sort of manual crank?
I have a device that is manual crank.
Really?
Yeah, I have everything. I am completely self-sufficient in that van. I have every problem taken care of if I need it. So it's great. I'm like an astronaut. I'm self-sufficient. I've learned how to manage my vessel, and I have everything I need.
Okay, hopefully might need a NASA blanket here shortly.
Getting you one of those tinfoil space blankets to keep warm at night. Okay, there we have it. Oh, we're a little over an hour. That's perfect. All right, good stuff. We got March Madness coming up. Exciting time in the sports world. Good stuff, guys. Mike, make sure you charge your van or don't waste the battery, okay? So we can do the show on Friday. Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.